Sarah McLaughlin, what's her name?
Sarah McLaughlin. Sarah McLaughlin. McLaughlin? 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 The like dying dog and cat lady. She's a sad dog lady. How do you pronounce her name? McLaughlin or McLaughlin?
I don't know. She's about to be on
Sarah
her show.
McLaughlin.
We should figure this out.
Hey, all you people. You're listening to Split Screen Gaming Podcast, the occasional weekly podcast where three lifelong friends correspond about video games from the comfort of their homes. I'm Chad Michael Innes.
I'm Holden DePardo.
And joining us shortly will be Sarah McLaughlin. So everybody get ready to cry about all those sad dogs when Sarah McLaughlin joins us in a little bit.
You were totally recording when we were going over that.
I was.
Chad records your conversations secretly. I actually never approved to this whole podcast thing. It just happened to be online one day.
This podcast will not hold up in the court of law. You were not consented. You were not consented?
It was unconsensual.
I did not have your consent.
It was unconsensual podcasting.
Is that recording rape?
It's podcast rape. Is what
podcast rape.
Yeah. Sometimes yes doesn't mean no, or no doesn't mean yes.
Speaking of distasteful jokes, let's head into our podcast today. No, Sarah McLaughlin will not be joining us because she's too good for us.
Sarah who?
Did I stutter?
I was gonna say something, but it wasn't worth saying. Okay, you go for it.
Oh,
all the other
guys.
things so far I've said that are wonderful. No, I'm just gonna.
This is episode 7 of the Split Screen Gaming Podcast.
I can't believe you've done this many of them.
Yeah, that's almost 2 months.
2 months.
Months. I pronounce every letter.
Well, we have a good
Spanish,
show.
They do that too.
We do. We have a good show.
Ciudad. Ciudad.
We're going to be talking about the news in the beginning here. We're going to segue after that into Xbox Scorpio announcements this week. Mm-hmm. And then we have some subscriber interrogatives.
Interrogatives. Oh, man, we meant to watch a video before we started recording this too, didn't we?
We did, but I think we got it.
Yeah, we got it.
We got it.
So we're going to start out with how we normally start out. A big old pile of crap. What are we playing, Holden?
Well, I promised again I was going to play Zelda, and I played some more Zelda this week.
Yep, got all the way back to Ganon for the second time.
3-heart challenge this time, so I beat all the Divine Beasts with 3 hearts.
Okay.
Didn't collect the hearts while I was there. I'm at Ganon, and he's kicking my ass. It's very difficult.
Didn't collect hearts till you were there?
Didn't collect hearts at the Divine Beasts, is what I meant.
Oh,
like you get Divine Beasts, you get heart containers after the boss there.
Yeah. Cool. So you're playing Zelda some more.
I did. I also played.
I think that's kind of a trend in everyone's lives that they will just be playing that for the rest of their lives.
I will play this game all year long. I'm sure.
All year long.
It's fantastic. I also played a great game called Everything.
All year long. On what platform?
PlayStation 4.
Tell us about Everything.
It's a hard game to describe, but basically, you start off as a cow. And you are
intrigued.
You are wandering around this pretty.
Is this the cow that we're milking in 1-2 Switch?
It is not the same cow. This is a special cow. It's a brown cow.
Oh,
yeah, that's his name. It is cow in parentheses brown. That's his name.
You sure that's his name, or is that just like a distinction from other cows? Like this is the brown one.
I actually didn't see any other colored cows.
What is a name other than something that's just a distinction for us humans from each other?
Well, you're asking so many great questions, which is great because it's a very philosophical game.
That's crazy.
It's all about asking questions.
I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna let you continue talking about this game. Tell me about Everything.
That would be wonderful, Chad. Thank you. I have the whole mic to myself now. You are this cow at the very beginning, and initially you're just kind of wandering around, finding other animals, interacting with them by mooing or whatever sound your animal happens to make. I don't know if you're supposed to start off as a cow every time or if I just did. I have no idea. But
I don't.
But you can go.
Sorry, like as if you broke the game and made a mistake. Like, am I supposed to start as a cow? Like,
well, you can be.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this right now. Was I supposed to be a human? Because I chose a cow. Is that not something that's allowed?
Well, you can be every animal in the game. You can do anything. So you can. That's such like an every game developer in this game. You can do everything.
Do you see that animal over there? You can be that animal.
That is true, though. In this game, you can go to a fox, and then you can basically control the fox, and then you can get to a blade of grass and control the grass. Then you're moving around as grass, or you can be a clover like leaf by the grass, and you're kind of going up and down into these larger shapes and objects until eventually you're a tree or a mountain or the planet or like another planet surrounding your planet. You could be the sun, and then you can go up into being a solar system.
Is the goal to be as big as possible?
The goal is to become everything and to find everything. So like you could be a frog, you could be an atom, you can literally go down to being a plank, which is like the things inside of an atom, like the strings in string theory.
Plank. Okay.
Yeah. You can be anything. And as you're kind of navigating around, you can talk to like-minded or similar like objects that
It's like grass can talk to flowers.
No, grass can talk to grass, I believe. Well, no, you can talk. Yeah, no, you can talk to. So, like, if you're a cow, you can talk to the monkeys. If you're a goat, you can talk to, the chimpanzee that's around.
Okay.
And they will give you these like philosophical musings, or you might find recordings of this. I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a philosopher they use all the time, and it's just about experiencing and thinking about what you're experiencing. It's bizarre. It's $15. It's not like it's a huge investment, but I actually did enjoy my time, though I don't think everyone would have a good time playing this game. It is about everything, but it is not for everyone. That's a really cheesy like one-liner Rotten Tomatoes review or something like that.
Did you work on their marketing team?
I did not. I tried so hard with that one line.
It's about everything, but it's not for everyone. By everyone.
The worst marketing ever.
I just put water in my mouth, didn't swallow it, and decided I'm going to make another comment, and then I just let it fall out of my mouth onto my shirt as I'm talking.
That's what I've been playing, Chad. What have you been playing this week?
Let's see. I've not played anything this week. I haven't had time to play anything this week.
Oh, so lame.
Except for, so there's this thing that we're doing called Late to the Game, and I think we did this in episode 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, no, it was the first episode. We did Super Mario World.
Oh yeah. So it's a segment where we play things that everyone else already knows is great or has some kind of prestige to it, or might be super old but is something that we should have played, and then we're finally playing it. So this is something we're going to formalize, and every month we're going to have a game that we're going to be playing, and we this month we've chosen Dying Light as that game.
Yes, you just picked it up today, actually.
January, so about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we just started playing it for the first, 2 hours?
Yeah, 2.5 hours, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Enough time to know what the game is.
Yeah, enough time to start forming some initial opinions about it. So that's what I've been playing. I played about 2 hours of Dying Light today. We're going to kind of, at the end of each month, we're going to go into each game and be like, you know what? This is what we thought of it. This was really good. This was really bad. We're going to give it a little bit of review and be like, hey, you know what? I'm glad I played this game. Or maybe that game sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I had heard some good things about it, but it was very under the radar. It was not a very, I don't want to say popular game, because it's popular within the community that played it, but it wasn't.
It sold well over 1 million copies.
Did it really?
It did.
I don't remember there wasn't that much fanfare for the game from my memory.
No. Well, it was one of those came out in the winter in January, and it was the only thing to play, so it actually did really well because it was there, and it happened to be a good game apparently, so it reviewed really well.
Last year, you said?
2016.
Would not have worked out. Yeah, would not have worked out this year because there was
this year
too much. It would have gotten lost.
We saw what happened with Mass Effect.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything out that time of year. It really did stand out, I guess. But yeah, I never played it.
Out.
This is the same guys who made Dead Island.
Is it?
Yeah.
The whole time I was playing, I was like, this is just like Dead Island.
Yeah, it's the same guys who made Dead Island.
That totally makes sense.
I never played Dead Island. Did you play that game?
I did. I played a lot of Dead Island.
Good.
And then it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, you played a lot of it, though.
This seems like Dead Island, but the parkour elements are much better. Like, Dead Island didn't have parkour, obviously. But the parkour elements make this, like, you're moving through things so quickly and you're moving across the environment so quickly.
It's kind of cool when you come across a crowd of zombies, and the tactic isn't to kill all of them, it's to kind of get out of their way.
Yeah.
In avoiding them.
I
Which
like
actually works pretty well.
This is kind of like Assassin's Creed meets Dead Island.
I was going to say Mirror's Edge meets Dead Island.
I didn't play Mirror's Edge, except the really shitty iOS game of it.
That wasn't that bad.
I played it for like 3 minutes, so I can say it was that bad.
Well, I beat it, and I can tell you, not that bad. There's some good levels in that game.
Glowing review from Holden DePardo. Not that bad.
Some pretty good levels in that game. Pretty good.
So yeah, Dying Light so far, I'm enjoying the parkour system. It takes some getting used to.
Yeah, we had to get the controls down on sensitivity. It was way too sensitive before.
Yeah, really loose controls, but then we tightened them up like a nice tight butthole.
This is actually one of the first times that I've played a game with too much sensitivity that bringing it down actually helped. Usually I tried adjusting the sensitivity a little bit and kind of find, this is why the developers intended the sensitivity to be here because this game works well that way.
Yeah.
This, way better, bring it down. It's way too sensitive at first.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the story, I don't really know what's happening, but it's also
I'm not really paying attention to the story. People are talking, and I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather make a joke with Holden, so.
You're like, I guess, an undercover someone?
Yeah.
And
parachuted into this city town.
Yeah.
City town.
It's a city town, yeah. Well, it's like a city, but every building is a little taller than one story. Nothing is that. It's not really a city. I don't know. It's populated with lots of zombies.
Yeah.
I don't really know what is the setting. Where does it take place? I'm looking this up right now. Actually.
Haran.
Yeah.
Haran.
Where is that?
That's right, because they arranged the buildings into the name of Haran, and I said, isn't that weird that city? All the buildings are named to make the name of the. God damn it! Speak English, me.
No, you can't speak English.
While Holden's looking this up, you guys, I just want to, obviously you guys have noticed by that dog barking in the background. It was a beautiful day outside today, so we have the windows open while we're recording, which is why we have some background noise. We're going to try to take it out. Our
recording was delayed by a car horn going off consistently.
Yes.
We were just about to record. We were ready. Okay, I got
listen
it.
to this podcast
Google,
with a nice glass of lemonade
Haran
outside.
is a biblical place.
Oh.
And it is within present-day Turkey. But it doesn't exist as known
so it's
as
like
Haran
a turducken. It's within a turkey and a duck inside of Haran.
That is exactly what this game is.
Is Haran the English translation of Quran?
No, it's actually it's in the Book of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible.
Genesis, like close relation to Journey.
You know, it is. It's what's the one Journey song?
The soundtrack is "Don't Stop Believing" the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the Journey song I was thinking of. Yeah, so I don't really have too much to say about Dying Light at the moment.
Yeah, we'll check back in at the end of the month and let you know. We'll hopefully finish it, or maybe we found that it's not worth finishing. Who knows? And we'll let you know how it was.
So far, I'm just kind of stuck trying to find a gun for a guy. That's the most I can say at this point.
And by stuck, you mean you probably spent maybe 2 minutes. Y'all, those dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Michael Vick is outside my apartment right now running a dog fighting ring.
All right. So, let's go to some news.
Holden, I don't have mine up yet, so you go first.
All right. So, I have a story here about the Jak and Daxter trilogy, as well as Jak X coming to PlayStation 4 as PS2 classics.
Jak X sounds dirty.
I'm excited about this one because I never played that series, and I really wanted to. So to hear it's coming, it'll probably be, if this is an indication by any other classics that are available on the PlayStation Store, around like $15 or so. Which I believe the way they put it is that, where was the quote on it? They make it seem like Jak and Daxter 1, 2, and 3 are going to be separate purchases. So it won't be like the trilogy collection.
Like a Sly Cooper collection? Or
yeah, it won't be like that. Like
collection.
each one's going to be its own $15 purchase, as well as Jak X, the racing game that came out afterwards as well. So I think that's good because I think I might skip the first one because I hear that's just kind of more of a standard platformer. And then Jak 2 and Jak 3 are completely different. So
I think the consensus is that Jak and Daxter is great and Jak 2 is garbage.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I've never played any. Actually, I think I maybe started Jak and Daxter 1 300 years ago.
Well, they're all three are Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. We'll see. I might play it. I probably won't. But we'll see.
I actually might. Because I have wanted to play those games before, which we might get back to later on with our interrogatives. But but I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's good news.
Speaking of not good news, great segue, me. Thanks, me. You're great. Spider-Man PS4 is not coming in 2017. As much as we all want it to be coming in 2017,
that's not what was said.
That is what was said in the announcement that it's coming in 2017. But then there's an update via Insomniac Games' Twitter saying no release timeframe has been announced.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's not coming out this year. They just said, hey, there's no official word. There's no time for this to
It's
announce.
not coming out this year. We've seen nothing of this game other than a trailer that has no gameplay in it. That
I think there's.
It's just kind of
that
teases
trailer.
Of him
That trailer
swinging
absolutely has gameplay in it. What are you talking about?
I don't think it has anything official gameplay in it.
I'm pretty sure that's all in-engine gameplay at least.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, whatever.
It has been since E3 that I saw that trailer, but
it is for sure gameplay.
Yeah, we've
I'm pretty
had
sure.
no word on that at all, other than hey, it doesn't even have a title yet. How the hell is it going to come out in 2017?
I think the fact that there was a Spider-Man game coming out alone means it doesn't need to be entitled until they announce the release date, which I think they could pull a Fallout 4 and just announce it at E3 and it comes out in the fall. I think that's possible.
They're not high profile enough to pull a Fallout 4.
It's Spider-Man.
Yeah, it is Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man and Insomniac. I think those are...
Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions wasn't high profile. Well, you're right. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, they're like, hey, this is coming in like 3 weeks, but no one's going to buy it anyway, so just don't give a fuck about it.
If they have like a few months, if they
Spider-Man games mean nothing right now. They haven't meant anything for at least a decade.
I think there's... Well, all right, well, looking at what else is coming out this year, there's really not a whole lot. There's already been talk about it coming out. Of course, they're going to deny it, Insomniac. Of course they are, because they want because they're not gonna they're gonna wait until E3 to make their big announcement. They don't want anything coming out sooner than that.
Even if the announcement is it's coming sometime this year,
and they never said it's not coming out this year. They just said no release timeframe has been announced at this time.
You added an at this time. If you're gonna quote somebody, quote.
No, that's the quote I'm reading right now from Twitter. No release time.
Mine says, at Spidey889, no release timeframe has been announced.
Oh, I'm looking at the IGN quote.
You're a lying whore.
So they added at this time.
Yeah. Well, regardless, official word from Insomniac is no release timeframe.
Yeah, well, that was one of my stories, too. So.
Well, great. Aren't you just freaking special? Tell me another one. Tell me a story. Tell me a bedtime story.
A Japanese site estimates Nintendo spends $257 to make one Switch.
Why's it gotta be Japanese? Why can't you just say a site?
It's just because I'm reading
racist.
I'm just reading the headline from Polygon, okay?
Polygon are a bunch of
Polygon
racists,
are a bunch of racists, yeah. And then each Joy-Con contains an estimated $45 worth of tech as well. So basically, when Reggie Fils-Aimé said earlier this year they couldn't do a bundled in game because the cost was like it was already costing too much for it not to be to include anything else besides just the console itself. Yeah. I think that solidifies that. I think 257 makes sense because it's actually a higher profit margin than the PS4 and Xbox One had when they were coming out. I think the Xbox One was at console itself like 387 or something like that, not including the Kinect.
And all of this, of course, is speculation. And
well, this is also based off
doesn't include R&D costs,
exactly,
and promotion and shipping and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so they might be losing money on the Switch
paying
console.
Their employees.
Well, I think that kind of goes in the research and development costs, is paying employees.
No, that's separate.
The research and development, there's equipment they have to buy and all that kind of stuff.
Well, they're going to pay their R&D employees, but then they also have to pay their other employees.
Oh, other employees, okay.
Yeah, duh. Come on, Holden. Hey, guys, guess what else happened this week? Did you guys know that Bayonetta's a thing? Did you also know that Bayonetta 2's a thing? Did you know that there's going to be another Bayonetta thing, maybe? Question mark?
For Switch, probably?
Well, you were making that assumption. No one said that. But there's a Bayonetta thing coming, or something. There's a website that launched on Sega, and it has a countdown timer. And there is a background image that is obviously from Bayonetta. And there's no announcement on what it's going to be. But it is going live in 1 day. From right now, it is going live in 1 day. And hold on, I'm loading the website now. Calm down. 19 hours and 55 minutes. And we will know what this Bayonetta thing is.
I think it's going to be a Nintendo thing because Bayonetta came out in the last system, Wii U exclusive.
That's because Nintendo paid for it.
Yes, but the game also wouldn't have happened if it were for Nintendo paying for it. So I think it's notable.
What do you think by Nintendo thing?
Well,
what do you mean by that?
3DS probably.
No, I mean, like, do you mean it's going to be Bayonetta 3? Do you think it's going to be a port? Do you think it's going to be 1 and 2 remastered?
Oh, I see what you mean. I was just assuming it's going to be a 3. I don't really have a huge attachment to the franchise, so I've not really been thinking about like remastering and stuff. But
I think what would be
that would make sense because they've been doing that with a lot of franchises that they like Mario Kart. They know Mario Kart's a franchise people want. Not that Bayonetta's Mario Kart in appeal, but there are people who could not play Bayonetta 2 because it was on the Wii U.
Yeah.
People who are more likely to get the Switch right now, it'd be a big draw because there's nothing on the Switch like Bayonetta at all.
Yeah.
Nor anything coming in the future from what we can tell.
I think it'd be smart for them to make Bayonetta 2 a port, maybe a definitive edition or something like they're doing in Mario Kart where they add a couple of new things for the Switch version just to get people excited about it and have a lot more people able to play it. And by that I mean the install base is not as huge as Wii U is.
Also, Platinum Games need something to do now that they're not getting scaled.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's more likely we'll see Bayonetta 2 for Switch, and maybe even a wider release. Maybe it's all consoles, because this is not a Nintendo website tease. This is a Bayonetta on Sega tease. So I'm thinking we see a Bayonetta 2 remaster available everywhere, and then later down the road, maybe at E3, we see a Bayonetta 3 announcement.
Possibly. We'll see. Can I do a story now?
Jokan, Jace.
So, there's this game called Hellblade.
Prove it. Heavenly Sword. Hellblade. What? There's a connection.
So the developers of Heavenly Blade, or Heavenly Sword, are making a new game called Hellblade, which is, they're kind of pitching as a cross between like a AAA title and an indie game, where it feels bigger budget, but it has a lot of the risk of an indie game. This is going to be about a woman who, I guess she's schizophrenia, I believe. She has some sort of mental illness. And as you're navigating through the world, there are like these demonic voices speaking to you. There are like lights and shit that kind of appear out of nowhere. And it's more or less an adventure story. They haven't talked too much about what the story is, what her goal is, but from the video gameplay I've seen online, like Game Informer, you can go to GameInformer.com. It's all there. It looks really interesting. I'm gonna wait to see how it plays out before I, put money down on it. But it looks pretty good. Have you seen it?
I think I remember seeing when they announced it at maybe it was E3 or maybe I think it was E3. There was a Hellblade announcement at a Sony conference, and I think that was the only thing that I've seen of it.
I never played Heavenly Sword. Did you play it?
Like no. It was one of those like PS3 launch games or launch window games, and it was. A lot of people are like, it's pretty good, which is standard for a launch game. And it was like Lady God of War.
This does not look like Lady God of War at all.
No.
So they're saying this is a spiritual successor. If that was Lady God of War, I don't know how much of the spirit of that game is going to carry over to this. It seems very different.
I don't know. Well, you're getting that from a person who hadn't played it, so.
Well, no, I've heard that comparison before, not just from you.
Well, good.
Well, cool.
So I have another article in here. I don't really want to talk about it.
Is it not worth it?
Well, the title is Activision elaborates on Marvel-style Call of Duty movie universe. We've plotted out many years. Yeah. There'll be a film that feels more like Black Ops, the story behind the story. Yeah. There's a Call of Duty cinematic universe happening. Not only do video game movies suck, but all of these cinematic universes that are happening suck if they're not Marvel. Like DC cinematic universe, the Universal monster movies, they all just suck. Just stop it, guys. Leave Marvel alone.
The problem with me and the Call of Duty cinematic universe is, to me, it already exists. It's called Saving Private Ryan, Thin Red Line, Platoon, like Full Metal Jacket.
And then there's the new entry in the franchise that Christopher Nolan is releasing. That shit looks good.
Yeah, that's right. In the Call of Duty cinematic universe,
Call of Duty cinematic, yes, Dunkirk. Perfect. Yeah, so I don't really want to. I mean, I guess we talked about it. I guess I brought it up and we read it and we talked about it.
It's not
excited.
It's
for
not.
It.
Yeah, it's going to be a complete disaster. If they want to tank that franchise even more, please do that.
Just like that Halo movie that was supposed to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Straight up not going to happen.
They're putting this story out to see what the reaction is. That's what's happening right now. The reaction is probably overwhelmingly negative. They won't do it.
Yep. All right. So since we kind of talked about that one, you get one now.
I get one now.
You get one. I only have one more story left after this anyway. So.
This story actually is going to be more to you than it's going to be to me.
Prove it.
Pokemon,
if you talk about it, you lose.
Pokemon Go has 65 million monthly active users.
Yeah, it does.
Who was I talking to who was saying it only had 200,000 users? I'm not sure if that was weekly or daily.
That might be daily.
But I'm like, that's still not a bad number. 65 million monthly active users is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I still play it. I have played it every single day since it launched. Aside from the first 3 days when the servers were garbage, but
anyone who says this, this was a totally fad, this isn't like a thing, no one's going to keep playing this game. 65 million monthly users means it's definitely a fucking thing.
Yeah.
But people are definitely doing this.
And I think I've mentioned this in the past on the podcast. Like, I use it as a meta game for when I'm going to and from places. If I'm walking to the train or if I'm headed to the gym or something like that, and it's like, while I'm walking, I could either look at the ground or I could catch some Pokemon. So I do that. It's not like I'm still, although, I don't know, depending on the event, it's not like I'm still actively like, I'm going to spend 3 hours walking around today to catch 43 Pidgeys.
There are still people like that, though.
I know.
I don't understand it. I just don't get it.
It
don't make no sense to me.
Great. Hey, do you have a Nintendo Switch? Do you keep it on the dock all the time? Stop it, because you're going to end up with a boomerang instead. Just kidding. I'm blowing that out of proportion. But, there's been a lot of reports cropping up recently about Nintendo Switches that are bending.
Including a friend of ours.
Just like the iPhone 6 Plus does. Oh, man. Yeah, so I read the story online, and the first thing that I read was, I think it was a Reddit post. I know, that's weird. I looked at Reddit for the first time ever. I hate that site. But I looked at a post, and it was a guy who's like, guys, listen. I'm a person who's super careful with my electronics. I promise. And I put this in the dock, and then I took it out 4 or 5 hours later, and it was bent. Actually, it wasn't hours. I think it was a few days. He had left it in there a few days. I took it out, and it was bent. And I was like, yeah, right, you piece of shit. You bent it, and you're trying to cover your own ass saying that you just happened while it was in the dock.
He had it in his back pocket, and he sat down.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And then one of our coworkers, Travis, he's like, look at my Switch. It's bent. That's how it happened.
I think there are 3 cases online that I've seen.
Yeah.
Of it bending, yeah. And it's more of like a warping. Like it just kind of gets angled a little bit inwards, which I just think looks like a cool curved LCD version of the Switch.
It's a feature. It's not a problem. It's a feature of the Switch.
It becomes curved.
The more dedicated players who play it more get this really cool curved effect.
They wanted to make sure only the true fans got it.
I assume this will be covered under some kind of warranty. With
it is.
Nintendo.
Travis is getting his fixed for free.
Yeah.
They actually just send you a new Switch.
Yeah. So it makes me think, why would you ever want to put this thing in the dock? With the scratching on the bezel from docking it, and people buying like dock covers for that, and then this option that it could warp. Not option. It's not like, I'm going to choose to warp it now.
I'm going to choose for the screen to get cracked or to scratch.
No, it's just like, everyone already loves it in handheld mode. Why is this even a TV console now? Like, don't put it in your dock. It's going to screw it up.
Actually, now that Zelda plays better on the docked mode, I've been playing it on the TV most of the time.
Really?
Yeah. I do like it on the TV, but...
And now you can do it with your hot new Pro Controller.
I got a Pro Controller today.
And your
it's very
sexy
exciting.
new blue Joy-Cons.
I got a blue Switch.
Well, you got blue Joy-Cons.
And I got a blue Switch.
Your Switch is black.
But the Joy-Cons make it blue.
Nope. Joy-Cons do not cover the entire Switch, nor do they replace any materials on the Switch itself.
I got blue.
You do, Holden. You do have a blue Switch.
I have
I'm
a blue
proud
Switch.
Of you.
Thanks, Chad.
I'm so proud. So, yeah. That's happening.
And mine's straight. I have a straight Switch.
All right. Well, we're not heteronormative here. We'll take care of any Switches.
Cool. So I think that is the major stories, but we do have one pretty big story we wanted to talk about.
What is that about?
So Xbox has this new system coming out.
Hold on. Can I say the name of this story?
Yeah.
Xbox Scorpio and all of its flops. That's the name of this segment because it's got so many flops.
It's got so many flops.
It's got 6 Tyrannosaurus flops.
And flops is the good kind of flop, not the bad kind of flop.
Yeah, it's
flops
not a flop as in like it's gonna
floating.
flounder.
What is it? Floating loading operating point or something? I have no idea.
I didn't even know that was an acronym.
It is an acronym, yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Hey Siri, What is the acronym FLOPS?
Here's what I found on the web for what is the acronym
Floating
FLOPS.
point operations per second. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know.
There we go.
Still, that definition means nothing to me.
Yeah.
So,
But it does stand for something.
and there's 6 of them.
And that's actually the whole point of the story. We just wanted to inform you guys of what flops was. No, so in a pretty unprecedented move, Microsoft didn't hold an event to show off the power of their console. They gave it to Digital Foundry, or I should say brought Digital Foundry over to their headquarters to basically just kind of play around with the processing power and kind of see what it's capable of using a Forza demo. And it looks... Sorry, I can't control
Why are you
it.
laughing? I'm trying to pour this water like a normal person, and you're making me freak out.
That silence was me silently laughing. Oh, man. Okay.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O. I'm sorry. What were you talking about? Some flops with Forza? Forza flops.
They brought Digital Foundry to their headquarters to
Yes.
basically see this new processor and what makes it unique and special.
And Digital Foundry's the exact right person for what they released. Like, they are
Well, they're
the super technical, this is what super sampling is, and the checkerboarding effects of the 4K and all this
well,
shit.
they also go through and just kind of they point out like how well games run and stuff. So they
Yeah.
have a pretty good authority on this kind of thing. So it felt that what they were talking about meant more than whenever when Sony held their event. It was kind of like, hey, this PS4 Pro now it's got HDR, guys.
Yeah.
I can't show you what it actually looks like because you don't have TVs that do
If
it.
you
But
look at
but it
this
looks really good. Trust
really
us.
like compressed stream coming into your low HD phone, doesn't look great. This 4K HDR kind of on the stage here.
So this is a good way of handling it. It was interesting because there's still so many questions that I have.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But there was some cool stuff in there. Did you watch the video in its entirety?
I didn't watch the video. I read through that entire dense article with all that jargon, and I think I got a lot out of it.
I think one of the things that stands out to me as
Stand out. Sorry, goofy movie. It's on the mind.
okay. So the biggest standout for me was there's this concept of that every silicone chip they make is slightly different than other silicone chips they make just because of imperfections and things like that. And they actually tailor make the logic board to kind of complement the processor that is made. That's really, I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah.
As
Do you know what that
concept.
process is called?
No, what's it called?
Charging you a lot of money.
I was just going to say, yeah, so when that's exactly what I thought of when I heard that. I goes, shit, this is going to be super expensive. That's not the kind of thing.
Mass production and turning it into something that is super tedious on their part, but it's going to be really awesome.
I'm sure it'll make a difference. Yeah. Oh, I think they really want to push the fact this is a very, very powerful console.
Yeah.
But it sounds like what they're talking about. This is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
I think there was already talk that this might be as much as $700. I really hope that's a stretch.
I think it's going to be expensive
$500.
to make. Microsoft has finally got to go back to, like all console makers used to be right off the bat,
Yeah.
just taking a hit on each console.
Well, they've already said that. They usually make that up because of the sales of the games.
Right.
I think they're going to make it up by more people buying the Xbox One S instead. Because Philip Spencer even said we don't expect most people to buy this version.
Yeah.
We expect most people to buy the Xbox One S. But the people who want the most out of their experience, of course, won't buy a PC. They will buy the Xbox Scorpio.
What was the quote about who this was intended for? I think it was like the hardest of the hardcore gamers is what this one was intended for.
But that's a PC gamer.
Right. Well, they're trying to attract that kind of gamer.
I get that. But that PC gamer is still going to use their PC. Like I'm not
that's who they're trying to entice with this.
Yeah, I mean, this all sounds really cool. This is not convincing me that they are back in.
Well, I don't think that was the intent of this. I think
No,
the
it
intent of this
wasn't.
was just to say, listen, here are the actual final specs.
Well-
There's been a lot of speculation.
Elation. Ooh, I did there.
About what our specs are of our upcoming console. We're going to get all of this jargon out of the way. The super sampling, we'll talk about this in a little bit in a second, but like the super sampling, all this fun stuff, how the console works. That way, when we do get to E3 and maybe even another conference right beforehand, we can just hit you with games and why it matters.
Yeah. They definitely got that accomplished for sure.
Yeah.
I guess my point is that the marketing, the positioning of this is, well, we want to attract a hardcore gamer. We spend all this time talking about like the specs and all that. Some of those specs are already accomplished on PC. There is nothing in there that says to me this type of gamer has been won over because of what they just said. Nothing they said I think would win over a PC gamer.
Yeah.
The people that are going for, I just don't see buying this.
Well, I don't think they're done with their message yet. They're going for the hardest of the hardcore message, or hardest of the hardcore player, and then I think they've still got a little bit of delivery to give. I don't know if that means that, like, hey, if you buy a high-end PC game, you can now play that on Xbox now that it runs Windows 10. Does this help that run Windows 10 better with like DirectX 11 and things like that make that more feasible? Keyboard and mouse support, maybe? Who knows?
We'll see.
So those are the things I think we're still waiting on.
Yeah.
But speaking of what they announced, a lot of it sounded, when they were talking about the benefits of what you would get from this console, a lot of it sounded a lot like the PS4 Pro.
Yes.
But kind of a super version of that.
Well, I think that that's where the processing power doesn't make sense to me, because it feels like it's overkill. Because there's not going to be Scorpio-specific games.
That's where I think they're lying. That's where I think they said that last year, but I think they're going to go back on their word a little bit. And I'm sure eventually things that are Scorpio specific. I think they're
this year
at
we
E3.
won't.
I think at E3 we're going to see our first things that, like, this is what you get with Scorpio. You can get a lesser version on all of these things, like Shadow of Mordor was with the Nemesis system.
Okay, that I'd be more okay with.
Yeah,
but still, that's a lot to ask a developer for, because it's not like that game that runs so much better on Scorpio. They can't then release it on PS4 Pro.
Let's define better real quick. So what they specifically announced was that the games that would run at, say, like 900p or something like that, at 30 frames a second, that would take up 90% of the Xbox One S's processing power, are now running at 4K resolution, native 4K resolution, at 60 frames a second, and they're taking up about 60 to 70% of the processing power. So there's lots of power in there to spare for. I would love to see like extra things like beautiful particle effects and things like that they can't, or lighting and shaders that they can't bring to the Xbox One S through the processing and power capabilities. But so 4K, 60 frames a second with room to spare is I think the goal that they're trying to hit. One of the things that I did read in there is that they are manually going back. They have to manually go back and make this happen for each game, rather than be like, you know how PS4 Pro,
it's the same way as PS4
mode,
Pro. Yeah,
just kind of like, we're gonna try it out, and it might work for some games, might not. They're manually going back for each of these games and making them work at this resolution with Xbox One.
There will be a boost mode just built in as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is sounding like the PS4 Pro. My point still stands, though, that a developer, because I guess to go to my point of like a developer not wanting to make a game for Scorpio and adding the extra benefits because of the 6 teraflops versus the 4.2, I think, from the PS4 Pro. My issue is that, or my concern is that, the install base of the Scorpio is going to have to be high for a developer to say, cool, PS4 Pro can't do this, but I'm going to make sure the Scorpio can do this, and that's where I don't think we're going to see that.
That's where I think with third-party games, multi-platform games, we're going to see a lot of lowest common denominator, where the PS4 Pro version and the Scorpio version are going to be the high-end version, but they're still going to be pretty much identical.
Well, it'll be whatever the PS4 Pro version is, that'll be the standard.
Right.
And then Scorpio will do the same thing because it's capable of it easy.
Exactly. They're not going to develop again for Scorpio. But when it comes to first-party games, they're going to, like,
but that's their weakest spot, though.
Right.
This would mean a lot if it was Sony. If you flip this and Sony had the more powerful console, because I'm like, cool, Last of Us 2 is going to look unbelievably good on that system.
Yep.
Cool. Like, whatever Insomniac's, like, the Spider-Man game is going to look incredibly cool. Or, I mean, there's too many PlayStation exclusives that would benefit from that. I can name in my hand the Xbox exclusives that'll benefit. Halo, Gears of War, Forza. Anything else?
That's where it is Xbox's game to win or lose.
Oh,
at
Recore.
E3.
Recore will look
Recore, yeah.
will look so much better.
No, it's E3 is their game to win or lose based on coming out of the gate with first party games saying this is why this is a new IP or another entry in this. I think we'll see like a tease of Halo 6. But
Yeah.
This is a new IP, something that's really great, and then this is why it's going to just freaking blow your mind on Scorpio. And that, I think, is where they've been holding cards close to their chest. We haven't heard any, like, we don't know anything upcoming from Xbox because I think they're waiting for this Scorpio to really reveal stuff and then why it works great on Scorpio.
Yeah, I hope so, because otherwise you look at this potential. I think it'd be $500. I'm thinking $500.
Yeah,
I don't.
You can't go higher than that.
Can't go higher than
you
that.
saw the PS3 fail right off the bat.
Especially if you go to 700, like that rumor, which I don't think is true. But we'll just say for the sake of my point, $700. The power differences are pretty negligible between the PS4 Pro and the Scorpio, only in terms of the games you're getting a multi-platform, not because the Scorpio is not as powerful. It is way more powerful than the PS4 Pro. But if you're not seeing that on the games you're buying, I'm not going to spend, $300 extra to get the system for 3 games. It's not going to happen. So
They also did announce if you don't have a 4K TV and are not seeing those benefits, there are still, similar to PS4 Pro, you'll still see benefits of obviously frame rate bumps and then the super sampling where the console actually churns out the highest resolution 4K version and then kind of takes that and shrinks it down to 1080p. So you'll see a lot less a lot better anti-aliasing, less jagged. Everything will just kind of look more sharp on your 1080p display. So there are some benefits if you don't have a 4K display. But I think that's where 4K displays are still becoming kind of commonplace. If you buy a new TV nowadays, you're going to buy a 4K. But it's still not in everyone's homes. So they got to let us know, why does Scorpio matter to the regular person with a 1080p in their house, things like that.
This is where I get really curious about the messaging that we're going to see from the next few months. Phil Spencer talked about how he wants E3 to be games.
Yeah.
If all we have, or all we're going to get is what we have up until E3, so you got to talk about what the box looks like, so you got to talk about the pricing, and based on what he says, that's not stuff he wants to talk about at E3.
I think we're going to have another conference.
I think so too.
In May somewhere.
But I
or
think,
maybe even like the week before E3. You know how things leak before E3 just to get in the news before they get
yeah,
like
it quote unquote leaked.
Yeah.
It just made it easier for PR to pitch something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't get overwhelmed by all the other announcements. Mm-hmm. And they have some headline time a week early.
I think it's a smart move too. I don't think they should talk about this at E3. I don't think hardware. If you actually notice, hardware is not getting talked about at E3 nearly as often.
Right.
PS4 Pro missed it last year. Even the Switch missed it last year. And if you look at the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One announcements, all try to do something pre-E3.
Yeah.
And they just kind of touched upon some details during E3, and then games after that.
Because that's what works.
That's what works, yeah. So they're going to have some sort of event. It can't just be a press leak, because that's not enough. Like,
no, it's going to be a big event.
Yeah. It'll be an hour event.
Yeah.
I think
there will be press invited, all that fun stuff.
I just hope they don't do the same thing they did last time with Xbox One, where they wanted it to be all games at E3, so all they talked about was entertainment aspects.
Yep.
It cannot be that. They have to talk about a lot of games and then do more games at E3.
Yeah.
So
Phil Spencer's a smart man, and he's in charge, I think he knows exactly what Xbox has to do.
Yeah, I think it's something important to mention. I think some people are concerned that Microsoft has lost their way in terms of the marketing and all that. Don Matrick was running Microsoft when Xbox One was announced and released.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer has a full-on for the gamers mentality. It's basically he took the philosophy of Sony during the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being honest, that's what it is.
And that's
not a bad thing. It's not it's not a criticism. That's smart.
Yeah. So that's the Xbox announcement.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff. I like that
good.
They did it on like a really low-key, just kind of released an article one day. And they let people know ahead of time it was going to happen too. I like that.
I think it added legitimacy to it, if anything.
Yeah.
Just because, or legitimacy of the message and where it came from.
And that particular information worked really well in that format because, I don't know, did you ever, I don't think you watched the entire PS4 Pro conference. I did. And it was literally the most dry boring thing I've ever seen in my life. Just Mark Cerny up there. And this is the PS4 Pro. And there are several benefits to the HDR. Now, I'm going to show you this picture. And now we're going to change it to HDR. Now, you probably won't see this on your screen, but it's happening here, I promise you. Yeah, it was just so dry. So boring. So I think for all of this technical jargon, this is the exact right way to do it.
Yeah. Well, we have about almost 3 months or 2 months now until E3. So we'll
2 months exactly, I think. No, a little over 2 months.
Little over 2 months. Yeah. So we're gonna know this stuff pretty soon.
Yeah.
So this is an exciting time.
We're gonna have to get into our E3 prediction episode coming up in May.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, guys. Next up, our final segment, as usual, subscriber interrogatives. We've got 3 this week.
3 very good questions.
3 very good cues.
From 3 very important subscribers.
Yes. Ourselves, because you guys have been a little bit more active. I'm seeing some more activity on the Facebook page. We'll go ahead and do a shout out right now. Obviously, we still have David Sullivan, God of staked his flag in the moon and said, "This is mine. This is my first like." We've got Dane Deasy out there. We've got Joe Innes. I don't even think that guy plays video games.
Whoa.
But Michael Schuff, thank you for liking our Facebook page as well and doing a little participation on.
I don't think he plays video games.
Oh, Michael Schuff does.
He does?
Yeah. At least he's played all the Naughty Dog PS4 games.
Oh, I did not know
The
that.
Uncharted trilogy, Uncharted 4, Last of Us. Yeah, he enjoys a good game or two.
So let's jump right into it then. What's the first question here is...
Subscriber interrogatives. Hey, what are some good iOS games? We talk about like console games a lot and occasionally handhelds, but iOS is out there.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth is, a lot of it's trash.
Most of it is trash. There are some really good gems, though.
There are. What's your kind of top 3?
Top 3. I think number 1 for me, because it's the first game I played on mobile that I'm like, oh, this is something special, is Monument Valley.
Oh, yeah, Monument Valley was great.
Very, very good game. I want more of it, but I kind of don't at the same time because it's kind of good as it is.
Yeah.
But that was a fantastic game.
What did you do with your voice? Good as it is.
Good as it is.
It's kind of good as it is. I just want to leave it alone. Don't touch it. I'm sorry, I exaggerated that a lot, but that was fun.
No, that was exactly what I sounded like. My other 2 games, one I actually found pretty recently. It's called Mini Metro. Did I tell you about this game? Mini Metro.
Is this related to Metro 2066 or last
It
First
is.
Light?
It is quite literally a mini version of that game.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's not. It's nothing to do with it at all. No. So you're given all these maps of real cities like Shanghai, New York, Chicago. Actually, Chicago's not on there, but like London, Paris, Berlin, and you'll get like a circle, and then you'll get a square.
Oh, that
and then
sounds
a
good
triangle.
Already.
And you have to connect. So those are all train stations, and you have to connect those stations together with the train line. And someone at the square stop might be a circle, and that circle is trying to get to the circle stop. So you have to. So as you kind of keep going, more stops kind of start opening. So you have to figure out the right paths for the trains to go, so that everyone's moving as efficiently as possible. And it can get really intense. Like in Cario, normally you can have like 6 passengers per little train car, but in Cario you can only have 4. So you have like a different obstacle you have to approach there.
Are you trying to say Cairo?
Cairo.
Egypt?
I did say Cario, didn't I?
Several times.
Yeah, Cario stop. There's what was it in Los Angeles or no, San Francisco? You have to make a giant bridge. They kind of bridges 2 giant sections of the city together. So you have to think, okay, well, I have 3 squares on this one side and 1 triangle on this other side. I have all these people who want to get to the triangle on the other side, so I have to like make a bridge, but there's only one path, so it gets kind of blocked up at certain train stations. You have to figure out like the right approach. Really, really fun. Really fun. It can get super intense. And then my third one is Boost 2.
Boost 2. I think you
Boost
told me the title of this, and then I was like, oh, what is it? And then we got distracted. You never actually told me what the game was. But tell me about Boost 2.
You just got an achievement, by the way, for your activity.
Did I?
Yeah,
Did I stand up?
I just got a notification that you got progress update. That's funny.
I achieved a perfect week
Congratulations, Chad.
at 7:21 p.m. I'm so
Boost 2 is the mobile game I continually come back to.
This is when everyone who has Boost Mobile overthrows it and creates their own company called Boost 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's an endless rudder where you're not even like an object of the screen. You're just the camera moving forward, basically. And you're inside this tube, avoiding these colorful blocks inside the tube. And then over time...
Oh, yeah, you did tell me about this.
Yeah, the tube will expand and open up until you're on the outside of the tube instead, avoiding blocks there. And it starts to get faster, and there's more blocks, and it just... I don't know, I've always loved playing that game.
So
it's super fun.
You're heading down a tube, avoiding obstacles, trying to get to a destination?
Nope, it's endless. You're just going.
It's kind of like if a sperm got lost in a uterus and never found that egg.
No, there's an end to a uterus. It has walls.
Have you seen a uterus?
Not in person, nor would I want to. The uterus itself? Good.
And the fallopian tubes when they come around?
I'll see a diagram. I've seen diagrams
This
before.
is a sperm going through a fallopian tube. Or maybe the egg on its way during the ovulation and the egg's going through the fallopian tube.
Mm-hmm.
You guys... We paid attention in health class.
That's exactly what Boost 2 is not about. What are your 3 favorite mobile games?
Absolutely number one. The thing that I think a lot of games, the reason they fail on iOS is because people try to take things that worked elsewhere
on a controller,
force them to work on iOS.
Yeah.
When they have all these crazy ass joysticks and buttons on the screen. Or when they're trying to make a first-person shooter work and it's not really ever going to work.
They don't ever work.
But the absolute best game that I've played on iOS is Sword and Sorcery.
Yes. Okay, I forgot about that game. That game's fantastic.
Great, and I love it because it makes use of the device in such a cool way. Like if you turn it into landscape mode and you're fighting and you turn it... And then like certain times of day unlock different particular challenges, or not challenges, but like...
You can only do certain things in the game at certain times of the day.
Yeah, or even certain times of the year, like or moon phase or something like that.
Oh, really? I didn't even know it was that in depth. That's amazing.
It's just a really, really cool experience. And there's combat. There's all sorts of great stuff in it. It's good. It's a fun time. So look up Sword and Sorcery. I think it's like $3 or $4. Totally worth it. Just a couple hours.
They have a new game out now too called Year Walk, I think.
Never heard of it.
I haven't played it before though.
Second game would probably be Thomas Was Alone.
I forgot that was a mobile game because I played that on my PlayStation.
Well, yeah, I played it on Vita, and it's perfect there. But there's a version on iOS, and that's a game we've talked about Mike Bethel a lot on here with volume and things like that because you made me explain volume twice because you forgot it one week. But Thomas Was Alone is the game with shapes where you're just kind of going through puzzles and challenges, and this amazing voiceover makes you feel for these shapes. And yeah, I cried. So what? You're an idiot.
I never finished it.
Not me. So, it's
and
so
you are
good.
an idiot.
It's so good. So yeah, Thomas Was Alone. I actually haven't played it on iOS, but it's that kind of game where I don't think it would be difficult to port that over and have it play. I mean,
yeah,
things like BioShock on iOS was a mistake, and we saw that.
Why
fail.
did they do that?
It's no longer available in the App Store. They pulled it and
oh, they pulled it, really?
Yeah. They're like,
I've
hey,
never
listen,
heard of that
this was a
before.
trash version of this game, and we know it.
It even looked worse.
Yeah, obviously. Anyway. So yeah, number 2, Thomas Was Alone. Number 3, this one controls kind of weird, but for the experience and it's one of those experiential kind of games like a walking simulator, but That Dragon Cancer, which won an award at the Game Awards for like indie developer who's trying to do some kind of standard anything. Anyway, it's a guy who made a game as a way of coping with the loss of his kid who had cancer. And you're just kind of exploring that kid's life in a really kind of fantastical way. It's a beautiful game, great score, really cool moving experience. So that's a really cool one. Don't play it on iPad because some of the text and stuff like that gets cut off the screen because of the aspect ratio of the iPad.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's one of your top 3 mobile games and has that big of a flaw?
Yeah, but it's just such a cool game. And it's like only available on PC or iOS. And nobody's going to play it on PC. So play That Dragon Cancer. And then I'm going to give an honorable mention. Games that work really well on iOS, board games.
Oh yeah,
Like digital versions of Monopoly and Life and Ticket to Ride and
the best one is Catan. Catan on
Settlers of Catan, yeah.
Oh, on iOS is so good.
And it takes all the bullshit out of like, you remember in Monopoly you're like, somebody has to be the banker and we got to make sure they don't cheat and give themselves a whole lot of money, and somebody's going to be the realtor and fucking keep up with all the cards and houses.
Or in Catan, you don't have to go, "Oh, I missed that resource because I'm an idiot and I didn't pick up my resource card." Nope, it just gives you the resources.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
What I love is when they get creative, like when you're playing Scrabble, you could have the game board on an iPad on a table, and then each iOS device has your individual letters on it and things like that. Like, that's when they take games that worked elsewhere and made them work right. That's when they did it right on iOS.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one example of there are tons of games that are ported over to digital platforms. Like, I mean, our mobile platforms.
Yeah.
Board games work really well, but there aren't that many board games made specifically for the iPad.
Yeah.
I want to
can't
see
think
that.
Of any, actually.
There aren't any.
I'm sure there are, but we just...
That I can think of, yeah.
But we just assume most of them are trash anyway, so we don't play them.
Catan's great on iPad, though. That's actually... I should have mentioned that. Totally forgot to.
You idiot.
That's my honorable mention. Catan.
Great.
There we go.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Look up some board games.
We got other questions here as well.
We do. Question number 2. Holden, what is it?
Question number 2 is, what games would you like to see remastered?
What games would I like to see remastered? Holden, I'm going to let you go first.
The obvious one for me is Mass Effect. I was really thinking they're going to have the Mass Effect trilogy as a remastered collection alongside or before Mass Effect Andromeda, but then that would point out that Mass Effect Andromeda is not nearly as good as those games, so that's probably why they didn't do it. But I really, really want that as an HD collection. And then since we talked about it earlier in the episode, Jak and Daxter, I want to have an HD collection of that, because the Ratchet and Clank HD remaster was insanely good. So I want to see the Jak and Daxter get that same treatment.
Yeah.
Did you play the Ratchet and Clank, the new one?
I didn't. I still got to get around to that one. I have such a huge
so
back
good.
catalog that I have to get to that.
It's fantastic. It's worth your
I
time.
probably will never get around to it. I
It's
want to,
awesome.
but I probably will never get around to
I
it.
will make you play it. I will tie you to a chair. Well, I'll tie
tell you
your
what,
legs to a chair.
In 3 years, we'll do a
late to the game?
Late to the game about it, and I'll play it.
I think it's been long enough to be a late to the game. If Dying Light is late to the game,
You're late to the game.
I'm always late to the game.
I would love to see a proper console remaster of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like,
Wait a second. Did Zelda come up in the podcast not by me?
no, we totally talked
amazing.
about your 3-heart challenge.
No, I'm saying that, like, you brought up
Yes,
two
I brought up
games.
Zelda, yes.
That's amazing.
I would love to see a console version, because we have the 3DS versions, which, I mean, they're great for the go, and they're a little bit up-resed, but I would love to see, like, what they did with Wind Waker or Twilight Princess, but for those two games. Because they've always been available on the Virtual Console, but they're still the, like, crappy 600 by 480, whatever the hell.
The 64-bit versions of them, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see those.
I would like that. However, I don't know if I want to play old Zelda games anymore. It's going to be hard.
That's a total other topic. Oh, another piece of news, by the way, I guess is...
Save it for News War, Chad.
There was the Nintendo statement that going forward, at least for now, all Zelda games will probably be open world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open air. Open air.
Just call it what it is.
No, because you can't
Shut up.
paraglide in the other
Shut up.
games.
You can in Just Cause.
That's doesn't count because it's not Nintendo.
Yeah, so I would love to see a remaster of those. I would love to see... Oh, Perfect Dark did get a remaster on Xbox, right?
Yeah, Perfect Dark
Xbox
Zero.
360. No, that's the totally other game.
Oh, that's
the
right.
sequel.
Okay.
But I think it did get re-released with a remaster, like at least up-resed.
Never played Perfect Dark.
But
Don't know anything
man,
about it.
I sunk so much time into that. And I would... Okay. Oh.
You figured it out?
I would love to see Diablo 2 finally come to console in a crazy-ass up-resed, like, all of these brand new textures and things like that. They put Diablo 3 on the console and it worked fucking great. I would love to see Diablo 2. Go back to that sorceress. Oh, my werebear. Yep. I want to play that on the console.
Never got into Diablo. But I heard they're really
man.
good.
They're so good. They're coming out with that Necromancer class again for Diablo 3 in a patch. I'm gonna go back and play.
They're still working on that game, like releasing
that
stuff
game
for
is
it?
still it's getting huge content updates, and they're just released seasons for the console versions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're constantly providing new stuff for that game.
Interesting. I honestly thought it kind of just fell off the face of the earth.
No, man.
Yeah.
Nah.
Question number 3, Chad.
That's trace in Spanish.
Trace.
Toi in French. Toi. Un, deux, trois.
Do you see a point in Nintendo's Amiibos?
We are 2.5. So we looked up the date. When did the first Amiibo come out? November 21st, 2014 is the first Amiibo release date. 2.5 years later, fucking nothing uses Amiibos in a meaningful way.
The only game that I think does is Breath of the Wild. And even then... It's like,
what does it do in Breath of the Wild? Get you a costume?
So, a few things. Different Link Amiibos, like Toon Link, Ocarina of Time Link.
Yeah.
You tap them on the Amiibo, and you'll get, like, a collection of meat that you can cook, or, like, a bunch of fish, or some weapons for you to use. However, there is one that I have not used yet in my, like, over 150 hours playing that game that is really cool, and that is the Wolf Link Amiibo. In Twilight Princess, you would tap that Amiibo to go to a certain, like, Cave of Ordeals, like a trial run of, like, just enemies to fight and stuff.
Yeah.
And however many hearts you collected, or however many hearts you had when you finished that Cave of Ordeals trial, when you tap that Amiibo into Breath of the Wild, the Wolf Link one, you will get Wolf Link joining your game with that many hearts.
That's interesting.
I thought that was the best use of the Amiibo yet.
And that's the only good use of that Amiibo.
The only good use of that Amiibo. Other than that, it's usually used for, like in Smash Bros. Gus was using, I guess my roommate was using it to save his character to an Amiibo.
Yeah.
So that he could train him up or something like that and bring him to a friend's house.
Yeah, and you save it, but then you have to tap it every single time you want to load that character, tap it every time to update it. Like, you have to constantly keep tapping that shit. Anyway, but nobody uses it. Nobody uses it for that.
Oh, I agree. No one, if the one example does not prove anything about the Amiibo.
All they were was a Nintendo official licensed, like,
collectibles
and action figures.
They're actually cool and well made.
Yeah. They're super nice design,
but they're not. They don't do anything meaningful in the game to make it worth it.
I think they did themselves a disservice, like putting out way too many Amiibos, because there was that craze where like I have to have every Amiibo when there were like 30 of them. Mm-hmm. It was like I need it, and they would announce 5 more, like I need it, and now they're like Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer cards. Or you can get like 33 different types of Yoshi plushies.
The cards I thought would be kind of cool if it had a trading card game. Where you had the Amiibos and you would like tap them?
They're not going to do that.
That would sell like crazy though.
That would be really cool, but they're not going to do that.
Like if you imagine it was like a Hearthstone, like imagine you had to buy packs of Hearthstone cards and that's how you got them in the game. Like it's a free to play game, but you have to have the cards in order to enter them into the game.
Oh, there is something.
That actually would be a great idea. I don't play card games.
There is something like that
that
I have read about in the last like 2 months where there's a physical game, but it has some kind of augmented reality thing on your iPad or your... Oh, gosh, that's going to drive me crazy now.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, that sounds cool.
Well, that would be a cool use for Amiibos, that tech at least.
Yeah, just pay us for that.
Yeah.
Nintendo. And by that, I mean pay Holden. He came up with it
after
someone else already
Leave
did,
Chad out of this.
Yep. So, yeah, Amiibos, they look cool. I stopped collecting... I did have, like, a list that I kept of, like, these are the Amiibos I want as soon as they become back in stock. Like, I wanted Ness and Lucas and Mega Man and things like that. And then once they became, like, oh, they don't actually do anything and they're going to be widespread and there are 4,000 Amiibos, I'm like, nah, I'll calm down and I'll keep my Pikachu, Charizard, Diddy Kong, Link, and Mario. And that's it.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add at all, Chad?
Yes. Everyone follow us on all the social medias. Holden, have you taken the week to learn what our social medias are? What's our Instagram?
Our Instagram is SplitScreenGP.
What's our Twitter?
Our Twitter is SplitScreenGP.
What's our email?
Our email is splitscreengamingpodcast@gmail.com.
What's left? Facebook.
And it is Split Screen Gaming Podcast.
Yeah.
I did not memorize that. It is in front of me right now on my computer.
Very good.
I was prepared.
So proud of you.
And our password is,
yeah, so follow us on all that shit. Take a look at all of our fun stuff. Share us with your friends. Please. Please share us with your friends. Subscribe to us on iTunes. It really helps. Rate us in the iTunes store. Like, literally, if you've listened to this episode and you're like, ha, that made me laugh a lot. I peed in my own eyes. It was so funny. Like it. Rate it 5 stars, or 4 stars, or 3 stars. If you're going to rate it 3 stars, you might as well not rate it at all.
Well, if you're going to rate, please clean the pee out of your eyes first, and then rate us.
Hold on. Why do they have to clean the pee out of their eyes? People with visual impairments do things by themselves all the time. You can do things with pee in your eyes. You're a person.
I'm worried about their health. Thanks for listening to this Push Me In podcast. You have a great night. Enjoy.
Bye, you.
Bye.
Green-backed gals.